So COVID situation remains extremely grim, but how are people behaving? Let me now take you to different parts of southern India. Still very much in the grip of COVID-19, but people continue to flout norms. Our next report brings you three stories, one from Tamil Nadu, one from Karnataka and one from Andhra Pradesh, where despite stringent lockdowns being in place, people gathered in large numbers and flouted COVID norms.
A private wedding flight with over 160 guests over Tamil Nadu. A huge religious crowd for a goddess in Andhra Pradesh. A funeral procession for a horse in Karnataka. The second wave is far from over, but covidiot still reigns supreme. Three stories of shocking COVID violations in three states that are locked down. Presenting this week's high-flying covidiots. With 161 guests stuffed into a chartered flight, this couple tied the knot just as the aircraft flew over the sacred Meenakshi Amman temple in Madurai. With Tamil Nadu in lockdown, they chose to violate protocol and laws 35,000 feet in the air. The flight lasted a total of 2 hours. While all had taken RT-PCR negative certificates along, such a congregation is in complete violation of the rules. No action has been taken against them yet, with police perplexed about how to act on this violation. Now say hello to covidiots number 2 for the week. This time from Andhra Pradesh's East Godavari district. Hundreds of devotees crowded at the Gogulamma Thalli temple to please the goddess. This is totally in violation of Section 144 and lockdown at a time when the positivity rate in Andhra Pradesh is a very high 20.48%. Cases under the Disaster Management Act have been registered and the organizer has been taken into custody. And finally, covidiots number 3 in Karnataka's Belagavi, where hundreds of villagers gathered to attend a funeral of a horse which belonged to a local mutt. Villagers believed it's a divine horse and hence this big send-off. Huge crowds despite a state in lockdown and high numbers for weeks together. 15 organizers have been booked by the police and 400 houses have been sealed thanks to this violation. No end to COVID yet, and certainly no end to covidiots. With Pramod Madhav, Nagarjun Dwarkanath and Ashish Pandey, Bureau Report, India Today.
SpiceJet has just issued a statement on this COVID violation on board an aircraft, a chartered flight with 161 guests on board. The airline has said that the client was clearly briefed on COVID guidelines that had to be followed and that there was no permission for any activity on board the aircraft. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's National Affairs editor Rahul Srivastav for more on the story. Rahul, so this wedding that took place, or the Jaimal or the Mangal Sutra ceremony that took place on board the aircraft, was it a violation according to SpiceJet?
A lot of marriages are made in heaven, but the rich think that they can escape the law by being in the stratosphere 30,000 feet above the ground. And this is a very typical case. Now, SpiceJet is saying repeated attempts were made to inform the people that there are violations happening. Now, Gaurav, they are also saying, the airline is saying that before the flight, the passengers and the travel agent were briefed. But now, what is important here is that the law is very explicit since last year that anybody who is sitting in the corner seat or the middle seat, one have to wear a mask, the middle seat has to wear a PPE kit. You can see in the visuals how many of them wearing masks or how many of them wearing PPE kits. Social distancing norms, absolutely nothing. Now, the important thing is that the new rules of the DGCA says that anybody found violating the rules of protocol in flight will be added to actions will be initiated, and the airline can put them on a no-fly list. Did airlines do something like this? Nothing. Only till the DGCA, when the DGCA stepped in, de-rostered the flight crew and asked the airlines and others to take appropriate action. Now the SpiceJet is swinging into action, saying appropriate action is being initiated.
Rahul, for the moment, many thanks. It remains to be seen what action is initiated against these 161 on board that special SpiceJet chartered flight. Are they then put on a no-fly list? We'll track that story very closely. There are people who desperately need help. The government is doing some bit, people themselves are doing a lot more. Now, India Today travels with COVID heroes who are reaching remote villages in Uttarakhand with all the help they can get.
Pandemic surges through the hill state of Uttarakhand. A team of 10 men have now made it their mission to help those who need the most. Trekking through treacherous hilly terrain to reach areas most affected by COVID.
जब पहली लहर आई थी कोरोना की हमारे देश में, हमारे राज्य में और हमारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में, तो हम लोग उस टाइम से एक्टिव हो गए थे सारे लोग, और हमने जगह जगह गांव में जाके जहां पे लगता था हमें कि पूरा मतलब बहुत दूर के एरियाज हैं और लोग जागरूक नहीं हो पा रहे हैं, तो हम लोगों ने फिर हमने एक मिशन बनाया कि हमें जगह जगह जाना है गाँव में, और हर जगह जागरूकता के साथ साथ इनको मास्क, सैनिटाइजर, मतलब जो बेसिक चीज़ें हैं कोरोना से बचने के लिए हमारे पास, तो हम वो चीज़ें हम इनको सर्व करेंगे.
The team has travelled 100 kilometers over the past few days to reach far-flung villages, distributing medicines, hand sanitizers, masks, and also immunity-boosting drinks. The team also arranges vehicles to take ailing villagers to the hospitals.
लोगों के घर पे बीमार है कोई, उसके पास ना सैनिटाइजर है ना दवाई है, तो जैसे हमारी टीम से कोई भी मेंबर अगर उसके पास पहुंचता है या उसके जानने वालों के लोगों के पास पहुंचता है, उनको समझाते हैं और बताते हैं कि किस प्रकार आप सैनिटाइजर का यूज कर सकते हैं, मास्क को पहन सकते हैं, और जब हम बताते हैं कि देखिए ऐसा करके आप खुद तो बचेंगे ही, आप तो बचेंगे, लेकिन जो आपके आसपास और लोग हैं, आपके परिवार के लोग हैं, आपके रिश्तेदार हैं, वो भी इस चीज़ से बचेंगे, तो फिर लोग आसानी से मान जाते हैं कि नहीं, बहुत सही बात है और शायद इससे हमें फायदा होगा.
The team blames the initial surge on weddings and villagers taking the disease too lightly, but adds that the mindset has now improved.
कई लोगों ने शादियों में इतना ज्यादा कर रखा था कि एक कमरे में 3-4 लोग बीमार हैं, उसके बाद भी वो शादी का प्रोग्राम अपने घर में चला रहे थे, किसी को नहीं बता रहे थे. दूसरा मैम, जो ये प्रोटोकॉल है, प्रोटोकॉल का पालन नहीं किया जा रहा है. जैसे कोई कोविड से मरता है तो उसके साथ जो घर वाले जा रहे हैं और केदार घाट भी जला रहे हैं, तो उनको 14 दिन तक अपने घर में रहना चाहिए, लेकिन वो बाजार में आ जाते हैं, सामान लेने आ जाते हैं, और इसी से कोविड ज्यादा फैला है.
India Today had the opportunity to witness the selfless service in the hills, which is often door to door. Then it's time to move on to the next village once all homes are covered with COVID aid.
These are the people who say the need of the hour is to handhold those who really need it. And in the remotest part in the state of Uttarakhand, that is the need of the hour at the moment. Most of the villagers now understand what COVID-19 can do, but they are still a little hesitant on taking medicines in time and wearing masks. But the team says they have seen improvement over the past few days, and they believe they have reached the remotest part, and in the next few days, from the villages, the number of cases will drastically reduce. This is Aishwarya Paliwal reporting for India Today with camera person Parminder Sharma.
Children are seen as the silent sufferers in this COVID crisis. Many have become orphans, with the pandemic snatching away both parents. Facing an uncertain future and a possible threat of trafficking, many are extremely vulnerable. An NGO in Bengaluru, SOS Children's Village in India, has now come forward and they are trying to do all they can to protect children. India Today's Nolan Pinto with this report.
These children might seem to you like any other, sitting together and enjoying the lockdown. In reality, they are victims of this pandemic. They are COVID orphans whose parents, both mother and father, have died due to the dreaded COVID virus. These children are the nobody children now. This issue is primarily more damaging, especially for those from the economically weaker sections of society. The children do not have anybody to look after them. This is where SOS Village has stepped in. They're today looking after 9 COVID orphans at their facility in Bengaluru.
Children either need short-term care since their parents are suffering from COVID and are undergoing treatment, or are in need of long-term care because they have lost parents to COVID. SOS Children's Village takes care of all needs of such children till the time either they are reunited with their families or they become self-reliant.
The only option is to keep these children mentally active so that they do not go into depression after what they've gone through.
These children are engaged in various activities in the family homes with a lot of indoor games and online education. So many things they are getting involved with other children so that their mental stress get relieved. Some of the children they do not have anybody or they don't have any biological family members, but these children are giving a loving family in SOS under the loving care of the mother and other children.
So the SOS Village group makes sure there's a caregiver who will look after them as her own children.
कोरोना का टाइम में 2 बच्चों मिल गया, वो बच्चों हमारा बच्चों का साथ मिल के एक्टिविटीज़ में पूरा होता है, खेलता है. हम लोग पूरा मिल के उन बच्चों को पुराना याद नहीं आने के लिए मैं कोशिश करती हूँ.
According to the Karnataka War Room, 39,846 children aged between 0 to 9 years, 105,044 aged 10 to 19 have tested positive between March 18th and May 18th this year. So this group is also focusing on ensuring these kids are kept safe from the virus. They've ensured that these children don't suffer more. They've already lost their parents, but not their future, thanks to such COVID heroes. Nolan Pinto for India Today.
And up next, we shift focus and get you details of that fatal brawl that took place between Olympian wrestler